Great Saturday morning, everybody, and welcome to Reframing the Image of a Relationship. We are your hosts for today's conversation. I am Dwayne Dwyer, also known as the Mindset Coach, and I am joined by my good friend Onita Simpson, also known as Miss Onita V. Onita, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to get in. We've had some talks backstage. It's gonna be a good one today.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm struggling containing myself, just knowing how in sync our conversation already is. But on another note, it just seemed like it's been forever since we last talked. I was like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So, just wanted to make sure I put that out there because I do look forward to these conversations. And just as though we look forward to these conversations, we also look forward to the people who are with us on this morning. So, again, we just want to welcome everybody who joined us today. Again, if you're in the chat, get in the chat, speak, let us know you're there. There you go. He's already here. Mr. Ruddy Walker himself, also the brother minister known as Roland. So
We're gonna
he
get
was
him
gonna
a
be.
shirt that says VIP.
Oh man, he is a VIP. Good morning, Miss Austin. Good to see you. And listen, I want to just give a shout out to everybody, man. Listen, we appreciate you, and we go ahead and ask that you add value. Ask your questions during this conversation because we already figured it out. This is going to be a lot of information. It's going to be good information. I think it's going to be good. The idea is to submit ourselves to the only one who could be the perfect teacher on this particular topic, and then just pray that the information flow to and through us on the airways. So again, put your questions in the chats. We welcome them. Good morning, Miss Charlotte Jordan. Always good to see you. The available man, my brother Gaddy. Good to see you. And listen, I'm looking forward to this. So without further ado, you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Hold up. Everybody listening, watching, grab your pen and some paper so you can take notes. This is class on today. You're gonna learn today.
She said it. I'm gonna learn too. That's my goal. Um,
Me too.
so listen, as you already know, good morning, Ravonda. Good to see you. As you already know, today's topic is what is love. Now, this has nothing to do with the song that came out in 1993 by Hathaway. Everybody know that song. What is love? No, I'm joking. All right, so this has nothing to do with that song, by the way, right? What is love? Understanding your higher spiritual virtue. So first, we're going to start off just by answering a simple question because I think as we start to uncover this question right here, it allows us to reflect back on our life and have a good understanding of how we got to the point of expression given where you are in your walk today and who you're sharing that with as we go forth. So, first and foremost, in your earlier years, where did your understanding of love stem from and how did it resulted in you expressing it today?
Already starting off hot.
I'm sorry.
So, like I said, I wasn't raised by my parents after the age of 5. So the love that they showed me versus the love that I was then getting from my caretakers totally, well, I thought was totally different. So I saw it as, someone who provided, someone who cared for me, someone who listened, someone who took the time out to make sure that my needs were met. And then it went from that to, I don't really care. You're going to get what I give you, and you ain't going to say
Mm,
nothing else about it. So having that first, which I'm glad I had that first encounter with real love from my parent to know what I was getting that's not right. Me as a parent, I reflected on what I initially saw,
yeah.
not the parts that were bad. But then there was another level to that because, I was married twice until my own business. Um, I don't need nobody else doing it. I know I was there.
There you go.
So I was married twice. And then, after the second divorce, the Lord taught me what love really was, not based on what society said, but what He said it was, what He did for me, and what He does for you and everybody else who's listening, whether they want to accept it or not. He
Mm,
showed me what the true meaning of love was, what He did, what He sacrificed. Before I even knew who I was, He knew who I was.
yeah.
Before I knew what I would be, He already knew what I would be. So He took the time. It says, and I can't remember what scripture, but it says, before I knew you, or before um, I formed you in your mother's womb. And I know I'm messing that up,
No, no, you're
but I
fine.
know
You're
you.
good.
I knew you before I formed you. There it goes. If He knew me, that means we had a relationship that we sat down. So that means he took the time to tell me who I was before the world did. He took the time to show me love. So when I got here and that changed based on society, I always have a basis to return back to my first love.
Mm,
So earlier years was more parental. And then, of course, that changed. And then as an adult, I didn't know what relational intimacy with another person, as in a husband, looked like. So I just took whatever was given
mm,
until the Lord said, no, that ain't it either.
right.
Let me show you.
Hmm. That was so good and probably exactly mine, just to be completely honest, right? So I cannot say that I knew love outside of what I've learned from my mother. And as I observed the behavior of my mother, it was all about what I tend to call tough love. And it makes sense because
Mm-hmm.
she was a single mother raising a young knucklehead, right? So tough love. So what does tough love look like? She provided for me, she cared for me, she nurtured me when needed. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure I stress that because it wasn't overly excessive. She nurtured me when needed. Like if I was hurt, or as some people say, had a boo boo, right? She would nurture me in those moments only. But other than that, it was a lot of direction given and expecting obedience. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, it just kind of like resembled just understanding that what my mother gave me was love. Therefore, as I got older, that's kind of like what I believe love to be. And kind of like you said, until I started understanding different. Now, unfortunately, I probably didn't started understanding differently until I got to a certain stage in my life, which means that prior to that, people were the recipient of what I gave them. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You're gonna get this tough love. You're gonna get this work. That's what I
Right.
like to be helped. You're gonna get this work, right? But but what I learned is that I wasn't wrong. It was just that it was expressed wrong. See, when I started studying human development, what I realized is that your mother specifically is the gateway to understanding who the father is. And so
Mm,
initially, your mother is the one that introduces you to the Father, and you view the Father as the rewarder of good deeds or the punisher of bad deeds, which is exactly what I
right.
thought it was, right? So now it was like, okay, that makes sense. So I don't have to like look at myself as such a bad person because I didn't necessarily understand it back then. He's like, no, because most people don't understand it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when we go back and look at some of the, even when you look at some of the things we just said, like we didn't really understand it. And so what you don't understand, I have a philosophy, what you don't understand, you abuse. It's not
Mm,
intentional. Again, I always talk about the butter knife. We use a butter knife for a screwdriver, a crowbar, and any other thing. Gum scraper, you name it. We use a butter knife for it. A butter knife was used to spread butter. That's it. That it's in the title. Just saying.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, we abuse it if you use it any other way. And I think a lot of times what we find is that love falls in that same category simply because you did not know in your earlier years. Now, transition, you don't have the right to say that now because you a full grown adult. Dwayne, talking to you, right? You're a full grown adult, a grown man, as they say. So
Right.
now, if you don't know, it's simply because you're choosing not to know because you're looking to fulfill something other than that. So now that is a whole different conversation. So the whole point here is that if we did not know what love was at a certain stage in your life, that's okay because that's part of your developmental process. But there came a
Mm-hmm.
point in time where there was a line. And I can't
Yep.
tell you where that line is for you. I'm just going to be completely transparent. But there was a line. And at that point, you chose ignorance. You say, I'm going to stick with ignorance. Ignorance is working for me and I feel good about it. And so I'm going to stick with ignorance because that's what the world talks about. And therefore, we're going to move in that space. And I don't care how many books you read that teach you ignorance, it is still ignorance. And it can be
Okay.
colorful and it can be so, oh, this and all that. But yeah, anyway, let me.
Just because you ignorant don't mean that that's the truth.
Right.
And we don't value something like a butter knife when you don't understand it. You don't value something you don't understand. How do you value love if you're not going to sit down and really learn what it is?
Mm,
So you just toss it around. I love chicken.
I do like chicken though.
See?
I'm just
You
I said
you
like.
like it,
Yeah, I
right?
like it.
You like it, but
Hmm.
again, oh, I love chicken. Oh, I love this. Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna touch all of that. Listen, listen. First and foremost, if you're with us today, go ahead and hit the like button wherever you are. You can go ahead and hit the love button as well because we love as well. So go ahead and hit the like button, and that's going to make sense as we continue this conversation. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and hit the like button. Let us get in the chat. Get answer the questions that we're putting. Answer the questions that we answer as well. Right? We like to have interactive conversation between ourselves and the people in the chat as well. If this is your first time, look in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. There's a little icon down there. Might see a little dude with a hat. Put your cursor over that dude. You're going to see a flower that says subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, right? We would love to conversate with you every time that we go live. We do this about once a month, and you'll also find me every Friday night at 8 p.m. And the best part about it, don't you know our Friday's conversation kind of led into this?
It does every
It
time.
it does. It does. So, brother minister, Mr. Walker over here, he said his granny wasn't physical, but she always told him the honest truth. That is what we need. I can't
Mm-hmm.
stress that enough. Cassandra said, my understanding came from my parents and grandparents as well as the relationships of aunts and uncles. Yeah, that's really how it
Yeah,
works. Miss Austin says, my father, Michelle Ray says, my love stemmed from my mother and my grandmother and my family. Later on, giving my life to Christ, I then understand love from the only perspective that made sense and how to implement it in my life. See, Michelle is trying to open the
that's
bag up already.
okay, Michelle. We ready?
Worldly love wasn't it. I love it. I
Listen,
love
see,
it.
she was in the back chat with us.
She had to have been, wasn't she? All right, so love was confusing to me. This is Miss Charlotte Jordan. This is Uncle Junior Mom for you guys who don't understand, who don't know. Love was confusing to me. I had no idea what I thought it should be. I just figured if someone looked out for me, that was love. But never heard "I love you." I had to learn how to show love. Man, that is so
That's so,
transparent,
oh goodness, that's
Miss
good.
Jordan, and we thank you for sharing that. Because here's the reality of the truth. That's probably about 98% of the people who exist today. They're just too embarrassed to share it that way. So I
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that transparency because you're absolutely right. And I can say that's me. I knew that was me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to say it. And I struggled with saying it because I didn't really hear it a lot. And like I said,
Right.
my mother, she was 10 and 2. It was not that it was bad, but you got to realize where I grew up at, her desire
Mm-hmm.
wanting to keep me out of the street, keep me out of the struggle and things of that nature. And so she wanted to make sure that she gave me the necessary survival skills that I needed. And I greatly appreciate it. So Ms. Jordan, again, thank you for that. Mr. Walker says yes, because I started to think that it was merely physical. That's a good point. I love
That's
it.
good.
I love
That's
it.
good.
Let me see. Mr. Gaddy said it wasn't until I was a teen that I even saw a relationship that didn't look toxic or violent. Man,
Wow.
man, that is so
We
good.
this is we are what is this, 10 minutes in?
Yeah, we're about at 15. About at 15 minutes
What
in. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
So
This
as
is
we
good.
progress, and again, if unless you haven't figured it out yet, this might be the conversation you want to invite some people to because
Yes, absolutely.
we're about to rip the band-aid off the wound right now.
Don't
Um,
be mad. Come back next time,
we
okay?
love you guys. I
We
just want to
do.
make sure it's not to upset anybody. Anita, I want to start with you. I want
Okay.
you to kind to articulate the problem from your perspective as you see as you see love articulated and expressed in today's society.
The problem to me is nobody knows the true meaning of love, where it even came from. So we're just making up something in our minds of idea of love because it feels good. It's the dopamine feeling like, oh yeah, it's new. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's not always you smiling today. Love
Mm,
looks like we have to have this conversation. And it's not gonna be a pleasant conversation. But I love you so much so that we can't move forward until we get we sit down with one another. And the world will tell you when they're doing their highlight reels on social media
mm,
that love looks like vacation. Love looks like a new house. Love looks like money in the bank. No, that's their highlight reel. They ain't telling you when they was crying, waiting on these things. They're not telling you how many relationships they had to go through to get to the one that the Lord told them to wait for in the first place.
mm,
They're not telling you how many classes they failed. So they're giving you these highlight reels, and you're sitting there thinking you're the problem.
mm.
Why don't I have these things? Everybody else is posting and we're comparing. The problem is you don't have a true understanding. You don't understand. You don't know what the value of love is. So you use it loosely.
Mm.
You using it. Yeah, I love this person. And then when your heart is broken, is it really broken? Or was it your ego that got broke because you didn't really know what
Mm.
love was in the first place? So the problem to me is society has watered down what love really is because we're not taught where it even came from. And my shirt says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son." You know, I had to get it in
And
there.
I knew you was. I knew you was. But you're right though.
But I'm going to let you go ahead because
Listen, you on fire. I'm not. Listen, only thing I can do is fan the flames. I don't want to put it out because I agree. I'm not going to take anything away from what you said. Just add to, because I also go in conjunction with that by saying that because we don't necessarily understand the true meaning or the true definition of love or even where it comes from, we
mm-hmm.
lean into what the world has been teaching us for years about what love looks like, not even realize that it was a deceptive technique to move you away from the source. Therefore, you're stuck in, I want to use a word that I think it was Lisa Keys who used it a few weeks ago. Stuck in what we call a stupor, right?
Mm,
Thinking that it is something that it is not. And it doesn't matter how many times you try it, it fails. And you have not even realized that love itself didn't fail. Your definition of it was destined to fail.
yes. You better listen.
I'm, I'm just being honest. Like I don't want to. I don't want to go too deep into it just yet because I'm gonna get. I want to ask.
Come
Okay,
on,
so
come
let me ask this. Let me ask this question. I'm gonna ask you the question because I know you know the answer. If
okay.
I want an apple, where do I need to go? And please don't tell me Publix, not a store. Where do I need to go to get an apple?
To the tree.
To the
You
tree.
got to go to the source.
So if I want to get an apple, I have to go to an apple tree. Why are we convinced that you're going to get it from someplace other than the source? That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, man. Okay.
Um,
Listen here. Listen. Doctor.
this joker said HEB. Only because I've lived in Texas for so long, I know what he's talking about.
We have been conditioned by the world to believe love is one thing when if we know who our identity is, he tells us what love is.
Mm,
But then we get mad when we fall out of the world's love, but we get mad at God when he's truly the source. If you sat with him in the first place, you would know what love really is. So you get mad that you're not getting the real source or the real form of love by the world. You get mad at God who really is love. If you had stuck with him, you stuck with the source in the first place, you wouldn't have been fooled by what the world would try to tell you.
mm.
But anyways,
Can I add drama already? I think we're at 20 minutes. Can I start my first drama?
yes, please.
If you love someone, there's no way you can ever grow to hate them, whether or not they did what they were supposed to do or not. It's impossible. If
And that, my friends, is class.
did she just say the doors of the church is open? Wow, I'm just being honest. That is evidence that what you were doing wasn't authentic. It was a ruse. It was a lie. I'm just being honest. It is impossible to hate a person that you actually authentically loved. Okay,
That for a little bit.
let's make it make sense. I'm sorry. I don't want to ignore you guys in the chat because you guys are on it, and it looked
I know
like
they are.
she said. See, there she go. She giving away the tea. No, I'm joking. God is love.
Yes.
Question. So if I do not have a relationship with the Father, how can you know what? I'm not talking to you right
That's
now.
what we see. You see, Michelle,
I'm
just
not
tell
talking to
us that
Michelle
you were
right now.
listening to us before we started. We won't be mad. We know that you was back there with us.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm
See?
saying? These God fearing these God fearing Bible toting tongue talking folk, they out here showing off already. This joker here talking about
I
HEB.
love it. I love it. You better run, Cassandra, because you see me. I'm holding on to my chair.
Listen, let's go ahead and finish opening this up. So listen, first and foremost, we're going to talk about what love is not. So if you have your Bible, go ahead and open it up. I'm not against that.
Yes.
Galatians chapter 5, right? We're going to start at Galatians chapter 5, and we're only going to focus verses 19 through 21. Now, when you get there, I have it running across the bottom of the screen. So if you don't have yours, that's okay. We're going to take
Mm-hmm.
care of you. But if you notice at the bottom of the screen, there are certain words that I point out specifically that we need to understand. I think it's important. So Galatians 19 through 21 starts off by now the works of the flesh.
Mm.
I'm gonna say it
Okay.
again. Now the works of the flesh. I think this is important to consider because what comes after helps you to understand that if you ever got caught up into this, it wasn't love. Okay. I want to make sure I address it. So, first and foremost, the first word I really want to point out is witchcraft. I'm
Mm.
just being honest. It doesn't make anything else non-important, but it makes witchcraft important. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we learned in the Old Testament there was a young man, a young king that was told to go kill these group of people. I want you to go kill them and kill them all. I don't want you to save none of them. Kill men, women, children, cattle, everything. And he went and he got this killing, but he said, we're gonna keep the best of this. We're gonna keep some of the
Yeah.
women, and we're gonna keep some. And then later on, when the man of God came to him, he asked me, he said, "What's that noise I hear in the distance?" He said, "Oh, well, this is what ended up happening." And so that conversation led to the man of God telling him that obedience is better than
Then
sacrifice.
sacrifice.
The second part of it, right, is witchcraft. Rebellion is likened to witchcraft. What is the point? The point is you can't read what the word tells you and then choose to ignore it because that, my friend, is witchcraft. It is rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Just because you don't like it, don't mean it's not true. The
Well,
truth don't care if you like it or not. It's going to be true today, tomorrow, and until eternity.
mm, I'm, I'm just saying. So I like to start there simply because, first and foremost, love is not what you learn from fairy tales or romance Novels.
You ain't had to go. You ain't
I
had to
had to
yell
start
at me
there.
like that.
I'm not yelling at you, not you specifically. Anybody who thought like that, though. I'm saying? I ain't talking about you, but if you're guilty, hold your head up. I'm just saying, it's nothing to do with anything you learned in a fairy tale or a romance novel. There is no such thing as your knight in shining armor. He already died on the cross. Deal with it. That's the only knight in shining armor you will ever get in your life. No one is
That's
going to
it.
come and save you, period. That's not their responsibility. That's not even their job.
No.
Oh, yeah, by the way, there is no such thing as happily ever after. That's all made up. So when
Mm-hmm.
we were conditioned back in our young years, you remember Disney. I always
Mm-hmm.
talk about them, Walt Disney, right? They injected a whole lot of, the Princess and the Frog, and you had, Snow
Yep.
White, seven imps. I mean, the seven dwarfs. Um, I'm acting up. So all that great stuff. Rapunzel. Nobody coming to rescue you.
I'm
That's
not
not
letting
their
down my
responsibility.
hair.
Some people got to take it up. No, I'm sorry. You know what? You got
Yeah.
me up. Stop it. Listen. What is it? Harlequin romance novels. What Eric Jerome Dickens? They're great storytellers.
Everybody done heard. Yeah.
Yeah, great
But it's a
storytellers.
story. You
That's
said
it.
it. It's a
That's all it
story.
was, and that was all it was ever intended to be. And for whatever reason, you got that in your psyche, like I want to live just like that.
Mm.
But
Sorry.
you know what the best romance novel ever written? The Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible is about the most powerful being ever in existence who loved a group of people who didn't love him back the way that he loved them. And so he gave his son to sacrifice himself for them to draw them back to him.
Yes.
And you think you're going to find a deeper romance than that? You're only kidding yourself.
Mm-hmm. And if we
Next.
start looking for God and people, we are absolutely mistaken.
Wait, where's that? They'll be all right. Where's that word idolatry in there? It's an
Uh-huh. Isn't it?
it's a word.
We try and
See,
make our spouses and people our God.
see what happened when she starts saying the things that she say. Bells start ringing. I'm just saying.
Like that. I like that.
I'm just
Ding,
saying.
ding, ding.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
That's
you
good.
cannot move a person into his position and think that it works. Don't run to the church when your feelings get hurt. Then you find, you fall in love with your next Prince Charming, and then you leave from the church. I'm not saying church is God, but I'm just saying go to a source that's teaching you him. Don't,
Yes.
yeah, don't go to the source, get to the word, study the word, understand the word, and then get to the point to where you leave it because you found your Prince Charming. You found your safe
Hmm.
haven. No,
You find your idol. That's what you found.
precisely. Exactly. It's not feelings. It's not personal gratification. Just gonna be
Mm.
honest with you. I'm been saying this for the longest. People been looking at me sideways. That's okay. I still love y'all. Love has nothing to do with your feelings. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
No.
Not at
Mm-mm.
all. I'm sorry. It's
Mm-mm.
gonna be some people who don't agree with me. That's okay. I just say it for you to consider, not to convince. The word is the word. It is what it is. Next, it is not manipulation. So if I have to tell you what I want,
Mm. You conditioned it. It's a conditional love.
it is. It is a condition. Absolutely. Oh, I've heard somebody else say this. Don't get mad at me. If I have to set the conditions, which we call ultimatums, by the way, if I have to set the conditions for you to do, or else I'm going to remove myself, that's called manipulation. It was
Hmm.
never, it never had anything to do with love in the first place. It all had to do with what my version of my story, what my version of my fairy tale story looked like between my own two ears. And I am not subject to your story. I'm only subject to the stories that exist in the Bible. That's it. And the stories that exist in the Bible only is there for me to learn more about his nature.
Yes.
Hmm. Personal
Mm.
preference.
Mm.
6'4", tall, dark, handsome.
Yeah.
I don't know women
The
dimensions.
devil
So I'm
can
out
be
them.
packaged in different ways,
Mm,
shapes, and sizes.
mm,
So don't look at, and just personal experience. The Lord showed me how what I was looking for was superficial in a mate. Because I was like, if you ain't 6 foot or tall, I ain't talking to you. We ain't got nothing to talk about. And then it was like, okay, so you don't care if they love me or not. You don't care if they fear me or not. And I had to sit. I had to. That was a reality check.
yeah.
And then I saw like, oh wow, I really am looking for love super or in a superficial way, and it's not gonna last.
Right. Absolutely.
Those
That's
looks gonna
reality.
fade.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wasn't it? Let me see. The man of God was looking to anoint the next king, and he got all the
Yeah.
sons together. And
Hmm.
as he was going down the line, he couldn't find the one. He didn't he couldn't find the one. He said, "Do you have any other son?" He got one more. He's out in the field. Go get him, because
Hmm.
he didn't look like he was supposed to be the next king.
Right.
David wasn't a statuesque man. He wasn't 6'5", about 235, full of. He wasn't that. He was a little dude.
What? Okay,
he was.
but what
He
you
was
just described is good. But
See what I'm saying?
let me stop.
See what I'm saying? I can't. I can't
He's
with
still
y'all.
working on me. He's still working on me.
That's all right. We appreciate the honesty. It is not hypocritical or hypercritical. Let me say it again. It is not hypocritical, which means it doesn't. The standards don't change. Wait. Let me say it again. The standards don't change from me to you. Oh, so you mean to tell me love languages is a lie? I'm just saying that. Can you hear me?
I can.
Anybody? Okay. I just want
It's
to make sure.
crickets. It's
I'm just
crickets.
saying. So you mean to tell me the story? You mean to tell me if my love languages is what is it? Words of affirmation and physical touch. I can't. Hold on. Wait. Let me get there. I'm sorry. I think I passed it. I can't manipulate you by telling you that for you to love me, for me to recognize what you're sending me, that I need to conform you to words of
What I
affirmation and
want.
physical touch.
Hmm.
That's hypocrisy.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe the problem is not that, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to
Right.
search myself and realize that I'm still stuck in the fairy tale and not even
Which
realizing ain't no fairies in this tale.
it ain't.
It's not it's not hypercritical either. All right, women, this is it. You're gonna do it. What is it? I know you're about to. Please go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet.
What am I about to do?
Go on and read it. Go on and read it. Go ahead.
Well, if you would like to turn with me to First Corinthians 13, of course, 13. I'm gonna start at 4. So if any of y'all saw, I actually posted that. It's on my wall in my kitchen. We're gonna start at verse 4. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. It does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, and bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. He
What's
said, I'm going to tell on you.
go tell?
He said that women always like to go to this scripture when we upset.
Listen, so let me tell the full story. I say that's what I used to say. That's what I used
Okay,
to say
okay, yeah.
because
You
that's
did, you
true.
did.
Every time I turned around, I only found a portion of that chapter on social media. And when you research it, like when you look, it was only because they were mad at somebody. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, that's only part of the story, though. Stop putting your business out the street like that. Just being honest. Um, but yeah, it's not hypocritical. Now it's a difference. Let me make sure I'm clear. It's a difference between having boundaries, right, and being hypercritical. Critical is one thing. Hypercritical is something totally different. If a person moved the wrong way, if they breathe a little too heavy, it's okay to ask what's wrong. Why are you breathing so hard? That's hypercritical. You know what I'm saying? How come? Why you put the keys over there? That's hypercritical. No, like, why would
Mm.
anybody want to be around you when you're behaving like that? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be in your presence. You know, yeah.
What you're
So
saying is love can be conditioned based on what we want to see in a person. That's
not
what it sounds
only
like.
not only that, but I believe there's a large degree of relationships today that have just learned to cope with one another for the sake of saying, I've been married for 20, 30,
Mm,
45 years.
but you miserable.
It is a
Goodness
trauma.
gracious.
It is you guys have
Trauma bonding.
learned to bond in trauma and cope with what you've learned to accept. That's
Mm,
it. Simply because there's a stigma in our community about divorce. Listen, I just want to be clear and transparent. We need to understand the thing that we're reading. You can't hold somebody to a bad decision that was made early in their life. That's all it is.
mm,
I can't force a person to do anything. If I am
right.
pursuing the things of God, and every time we get into it, I'm bringing the scriptures to the conversation and say, well, this is the judge, not me, not you. This is what right, not who's right. And in your mind, you're going back to, you wanting to be right and you're ignoring the scripture. At some point, I need to make a educated decision.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying, please don't take this. Coach say he supports the. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not healthy for anybody to choose to live in bondage. Any version of bondage. Lack of understanding when it comes to love is bondage.
Yes.
Lack of understanding, period, is bondage. But I'm just using this one in particular. Michelle Ray, I got your question. Give me a second. I'm going to get there. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring it, but yeah, that's a great question. Um, so yeah, I want to make sure that we're clear. Hypocritical and hypercritical. That's not love.
Mm,
This is all part of a conditioning that takes place. Let me condition you on how to exist within my space. Love language.
right.
Just saying. And
Mm,
let's be honest, I'm not against love language, but love language should only be used as a reflection tool. So if I'm good at 2 or 1, then that means I got 4 I need to work on. Not
right.
tell you that you need to get good at the one I'm good at. No, that's manipulation. And it really,
Hmm.
and I'm just being honest. I'm sorry. Please don't get
You're
mad at me.
always in a state of lack that way too.
Yeah. It gets under my skin when I hear people talk about love language as though it's the Bible. It is not. It probably was written with a good
It breathes
intent.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I got. Um, Let me see. Michelle, I think this is it. She asked, "Do you believe we as people deeply believed those stories because of the lack of the true meaning of the word from our culture and upbringing?" Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if you really go back historically, we needed something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. We needed something to hold on to. And unfortunately, and this is just me assuming now because I wasn't there, unfortunately, the labor was so strenuous that it wasn't a whole lot of time to sit, study, dissect, converse about it. Right? You working sun up to sundown. You got the time to worship, but it was worship based upon, how certain, I'm just not to call a particular name, but you worship based upon how you were told to worship.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so it really wasn't their God, it was the God of their master.
For me, I was a big reader as a child. I mean, I would read, read, read. And now, even just sitting here, what Michelle asked, I realized I was reading so many books because I was trying to escape my reality. So we're looking at these fairy tales, escaping where we really are in reality. Well, the reality is what we're reading is just a story. And once the story ends, guess where you still are?
Hmm,
Here.
hmm.
So I appreciate that question because even I was like, wait a minute, I was a big reader. Like I would read a book in a day. And I
Absolutely.
realized it was the fairy tales, it was those love novels because I was escaping or trying to escape where I really was by reading
That's
because
good.
it gave me this good feeling like, oh, yeah. And then next thing you know, once the book is done, I'm like, oh, now I'm still doing this. Let me find another book.
That's good. That's good. Um, Let me make sure. Just to see this guy here. That's why I love him. He told me that's the solo people ringing my doorbell.
Probably so.
They'd be all right. They got bad timing. Brother Gaddy said not to allow them to drift further away, but somehow it is counted for righteousness because you believe. Even demons believe. Absolutely, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You don't love me if you don't do this. Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
conditioned.
this is, and I'm sorry, Manina Smith. I hope I pronounced her name right.
Yes, that's how you say it. Hey,
Okay.
Manina. We call
Yeah,
her
she's
Nina.
So call her Nina. Okay. Nina, don't
Yes.
get mad. She told me to call you Nina. I just wanted to make sure I say that. So thank you for saying that, Nina, and welcome to the show. You're always welcome back. Michelle said, running your love requirements down to someone. I don't want it. You can move away from it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Roland said, that's tall.
He said that's a tall woman. I wasn't talking about.
Well, we know 5'3" person. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Jesse's boy. Yeah. Yeah, I probably misspelled the word. Stop judging me. B-boy style, but see, she's running down her personal preference. You know what I'm saying?
See?
There's no
I'm
such thing
sorry.
as
I'm
love
sorry.
language. It was all made up. It isn't godly, it's worldly. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Michelle, thank you so much. Michelle Ray just continued to become a super supporter. We greatly appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you,
And
Michelle.
again, as a super supporter, you guys get one of these beautiful empowering perspective shirt. So yeah, sometimes hypercritical behavior can be because can wait a minute. Sometimes hypercritical behavior can because by long-term buildup of not addressing things. Yeah, absolutely. It could be a
Yeah.
form of buildup of frustration, trauma, whatever that looks like. And sometimes what ends up happening is that you held on something for so long that may have had absolutely nothing to do with the person that you're currently with, but because you held it in, now you've made up your mind that I am not going to allow this to happen in my life.
Yep. And
Mm,
everybody else who had nothing to do with it is suffering. Instead of you confronting who really you need to be talking to, everybody else is going to catch it.
mm. Do you see this? Come on,
Mm.
that's my brother right there.
Wow.
But that's what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
trust me, I not to put them out there, but I've since retiring ish, I've
Hmm.
seen that a lot. I don't know why. I'm just why is that a thing? But okay,
It is.
um, and stop lying with the Bible saying that God has put us. Listen, listen,
Now, listen here.
listen.
We're going to pause right here for a second. I literally this morning said, was, getting myself ready. And I said, it's either you pray and you ask God to confirm this is your spouse, or you allow the devil to do it. You pick. But it wasn't always the Lord who put them together, like he said.
I'm gonna go a step further. It was never the Lord who put them together. Back in the beginning, I'm gonna throw something out there that kind of confirms what you're saying. By the way, so back in the beginning, if I recall correctly, He presented Eve to her. He didn't just give it to her. He
Mm,
presented, and this is just me because I like to think about what ifs. Like, what if Adam said, "No, I don't like her"? You know what I'm saying? I'm just, I'm sorry. I ask questions like that, you know,
right.
but I'm just saying, what if he said that like a, would he have gone back and tried again? I don't know. Right. There's no evidence that helps me to come to that conclusion, but these are the things that I ask. I believe, again, when it comes down to people, it is a version of personal choice. However,
Mm-hmm.
comma, you don't make the personal choice to be with a person who don't have the same belief system as you, right? In other words, we have to make sure that we're believing the same. When we're believing the same, we're conversing, we're talking, we're communicating, we're understanding the depth and breadth of the belief system. Do you believe in the source, or do you just want to get close enough to stay warm, but you don't want to get hot? You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? That's the thing. If you want to be warm, that's okay. I'm looking to stop. Listen, I'm thinking I'm trying to sweat. That's me.
right.
So if you ain't trying to sweat, then we ain't compatible. I'm just being honest. We can communicate, we can connect, but I'm just being honest. If you don't have that level of and we'll talk about this later, if you don't have that level of commitment, we can, we can just be associates. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with being associates. It is called a community for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we sometimes, because we go to the Bible to get a version of the truth, but then we go back to the lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people vacillate back and forth. So we'll go get some word, we come back into the world. Go get some
Mm-hmm.
word, go back into the world. Sound like Israelites to me. I'm just saying. However, right, I'm not judging nobody. I'm talking the Bible. I ain't talking about no people, right? So I'm just
Right.
saying. So what ends up happening is that you'll find a person may go to the building, go to the church, and they
Mm-hmm.
find a individual, a man, a woman, whatever that's in the church, and oh, they go to church, we go to church, and we all go to church, and next thing you know, we go together, then we stop going to church. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the Bible, the Word of God was never in you. You was just in the church. That's all it is.
Okay.
So
He was in the
in
building.
you was in the building. That's all. So to his point, I get it because I say that all the time. God don't put people together. People put people together. However,
Okay.
in conjunction with that, people should not put themselves together with people who have not
Who
been
they
put
not.
together by God.
That's it.
I'm just saying.
Who put you together?
Because
Was it the world or was it God?
I'm gonna tell you, when I went back to him, I
We
was a
gonna
hot
find
mess.
it out. Okay, me and you
Right.
both.
I was a hot mess. So I was like, no, no, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
nobody, no other person and put it on them to fix. I gotta fix this. Why? Because there's a whole community that was waiting on me to get healthy. And I could
Yes.
not go and pay some doctor to give prescribe some type of medication to make me healthy. It wasn't found in medication. It was
Mm-mm.
only found in him. That's it.
Yes.
So that's I just kind of want to tap into what my brother said
You will
because
know them by their fruit.
exactly. We're gonna get there too, by the way. Man, you guys are awesome. Let me see. She said, "You're right, Ruddy. My first husband told me God told him I was going to be his wife. And we got married, and I had no idea about life or love, and it showed in our marriage. You know what that is? That is so
Ooh,
sad.
wee.
And that is a truth. I've heard people do that to where they'll go and tell another person, "You God told me that you're supposed to be my." He didn't invite me to the conversation though.
Okay, if he ain't telling you the same thing he telling me,
Right. This is my life we talking about, right?
you
How
don't
the
think he
Lord
gonna let me know? I got a relationship with him. He gonna tell me that. If he told you, I'll wait until he called me and tell me to.
So this is my second version of trouble. Ready? There should be nobody prophesying over your life about something the Lord didn't tell you first.
There you
The only reason that the word comes through,
confirmation.
thank you. That was it.
Confirmation.
That's it. It should only be confirmation. That's it. So man, I love it. Let me see. Anita, I would like to go further. The Lord will equip you with the necessary levels of understanding and know who to choose. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, actually, he had
Okay.
this. You know what? I love you guys, man. But you guys, we got to get going. I love you. Listen,
We I thought we said that this might
we
be
do. Listen. Next, I want to dive into a concept. Now, again, if you heard us talk last night, there is a thing that must happen before you get to concept. That thing is called identity. Let me say it again. There is a thing that you must get before you get to concept. If I have a faulty identity, the concept of love will not make sense to me because I will shape the concept of love to fill in the gaps in my life. If you didn't hear what I just said, you might want to rewind and do it again because I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to say, listen, that one piece of information makes so much sense because now when you look at it, whatever insecurities that a person will have, when they go out there and seek a relationship, that other person is now responsible for their insecurities. How do I look in
Okay.
this dress? How do I look in these shoes? Stop asking me that. I
Mm-mm.
will not answer those questions. It is not my responsibility to stroke your ego.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
even ask. I don't. I'm not asking you. I know how I look.
Here's a
If
better
you
one.
like it, okay, great. But I like how I look. I don't
Can,
need to ask you.
but can I make it make sense?
Please.
Let me volunteer the information.
There you
Doesn't
go.
it doesn't it
It's
carry
more
more
genuine
meaning?
that way.
Right.
Right. It's
Exactly.
it's it's more genuine that way. It's not forced. Just like you can't force people to love you. I hope y'all know that.
Mm,
You can't perform for that. But okay.
mm. So I just want to start there because again, if you have a faulty identity, not realizing that you was made in his image after his likeness, then you are going to view the concept wrong. And then the concept becomes a space filler. Every space that you have in your armor, you will fill it with somebody else,
Mm,
hoping that they will be willing to endorse the contract that you present to them. Listen, I say it all the time. When a person's behavior shows up, believe them. When they start
yep.
asking you, how do I look? How do I look? How does this, how does, how does this, how does they're exposing themselves to you. I got some insecurities. Accept me as I am. I'm just being honest. It's not that you're expecting perfection, but my development is my responsibility. I can't project it on somebody else to
Mm-mm.
accept it as I am. It's wrong. It's listen,
I have to go back to what you said. You said when we have holes in our armor, we start putting people in those different places. And then when you fall out of that relationship, you put somebody else in that hole. And you
mhm,
carry all these different perspectives of what love is around with you. And then again, now it's an insecurity. Now you're looking for people to feel these. You got bodies on you, basically.
mm,
You're carrying around bodies. You're carrying around spirits. I mean, I
I'm
don't want nothing that nobody else from my past try to put on me. So I'm gonna stick to what the Lord said, who I am.
I'm so
That
glad you said that.
we gotta let go of that. You gotta stop putting people in places that they haven't earned, or I can say earned, but they're not supposed to be in.
Man, I'm
We're
so
supposed to
glad
put
you
on the
said
full
that.
armor of God, not the full armor of every
Of
relationship
man,
that we end up in.
of Tyrone, Tamika, Jamie. Yeah, I'm sorry. No. And I add to you, you will string those people along because you still need that fulfillment, hoping it's going to be about three or four people that's going to make you whole. It doesn't work that way.
Mm, mm, man,
Remember,
because
I got to keep
I
moving.
hope y'all not mad at us. You
Well,
know we love
it's
y'all.
all done in love. We're gonna make it make sense in a
It
second.
is.
Listen, we ain't gonna sing the song by Hathaway, but what is love? Like, I mean, again, we was talking about this, and Michelle Ray, she was just unpacking it for us. But I mean, again, we have to ask ourselves, what is love? And so we're gonna continue in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love,
Love.
along with the rest of them. But I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to stop there because the word but signifies that the fruit of the Spirit is in direct opposition of the works of the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But the fruit of the Spirit, remember, we can't get an apple from no place but the apple tree.
Mm-hmm.
So the fruit of the Spirit is love. So the only place you're going to get love from is the Spirit.
There you go.
You ain't going to get it at Walmart, HEB, Publix. So you can walk the miles all you want to looking for somebody tall, dark, and handsome. Don't matter.
No.
I'm
Mm-mm.
I'm
It
just
don't.
saying. I'm just saying. Can we make it make more sense though?
Yeah.
Okay, First John chapter 4, and said, see this one. See this one here. I'm just saying. I'm gonna start all the way from the beginning. Y'all be patient with me for a second here,
Okay.
because he starts off, beloved, believe not every spirit.
But
Wait, hold on. I don't think y'all heard just that part alone. Based upon everything we said, believe not every spirit, because people will tell you what they want you to hear for the
uh-huh.
sake of getting what they
What they want.
both man and woman, by the way. We want to make sure we
Mm-hmm.
clear the air. We ain't talking about
We
one
are
person. We're talking
okay.
about every
This is
people.
both.
Just both. Believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are going out into the world. Hereby know
Mm.
ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God.
Of
And
God.
this is that spirit of the Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come. And even
It
now
is
already
already.
is it in the world. So, for ye are of God, little children, and have
Mm-hmm.
overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. That's where it begins. I'm gonna say again, they
Mm-hmm.
are of the world. Who? The ones who have not confesseth. They
Right.
are of the world. Therefore, speak they of the world, speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. Don't worry about the squeaky wheel getting the grease. I'm just saying. They are
Make it
of the
make sense. Make
world.
it plain.
Yeah. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. We need to stop right there. That's your exit strategy. Let me say it again. We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Exit strategy. Stop hoping for your fairy tale to come true. The evidence, the facts are before you. Okay,
What you gonna do with them?
they, I'm out. I'm leaving. That's it. So here we go. Hereby know we the spirit of truth. Truth is the only thing that you're in pursuit of. Fact gets you closer to truth. Compounding facts is closer to the truth, but there's only one source of truth. You, sir, ma'am, whoever, you're not it. I'm just saying, you are the
Okay.
source of facts, because your awareness is not 100% awareness. There was only one person who ever had 100% awareness. You have never met that person. So
Mm.
we are the source of facts. We can take our facts and bounce it off of the truth that helps us to understand truth. So you cannot say that because I seen it with my own eyes, that's truth. That's not true. We talked about this about what, 3 months ago, right?
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective. So we have to understand that. 7, beloved, let us love one another, for love is
Is
of
of
God.
God.
And everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth
Knows.
God. We cannot miss that last portion,
Mm.
because it's important. It's one thing to be born of, and another thing to know it. It takes both for his love to come from him to you through you. That's the only way love works. It does not work any other way. Hold on. We're going to keep going. In this, you got me started this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get where I'm supposed to be at. There we go. All right. So 8. Yeah, 8. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. You know, said it twice. In this
Mm-hmm.
was manifested the love of God toward us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we loved God, but he loved us and sent
Mm-hmm.
his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. This is the key. can I say something and be honest
Okay.
with you?
Hmm.
Can I say something and be honest? I'm gonna get in trouble
Please,
again.
please.
This is like my
You
third time
might.
today. You can't make it up. It does not
No.
come from within you. So when I hear people say, I have so much love to give, that is not a true statement. You have so much lust to give. That's all that is.
Woo.
That's not love.
Goodness.
It did not come from you. You can't just go into your closet and gin it up. It doesn't work that way.
So what he just said is there's no way you can love someone in your own strength because you didn't generate the love anyways. It came from who did he just say? God. Mm,
That's it.
mm.
That is the truth. That is what love is. We understood the songs that existed back in the 80s and the 90s, and they sounded good. Everybody listened to Keith
Mm-hmm.
Sweat. Y'all seen Keith Sweat lately?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I'm not talking against Keith. I used to listen to Keith back then too, but that was just music. It was just
Mm-hmm.
to sell records. Unfortunately, it was also indoctrination.
That's why it's important to watch what you're listening to, what you're looking at, what you're reading. I gotta be
Yeah.
careful with that.
You know the
And I'm
funny
speaking
part.
from experience.
Can I be funny real quick? We're not even
Sure.
halfway. We're not even halfway finished. This is hilarious.
We said
We said it was going to
it's
be
gonna be
multiple weeks.
more. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let me see. I want to make sure I catch up where everybody was at. Let me see. Anita, I would like to go. I think I touched that one already. Yes. Yes, actually heading the same direction. Equally yoked. Yep. My brother always does a great conversation about equally yoked. And do we really understand what equally yoked is? Ready, go on and tell us, man. I know you be waiting, itching for that one. He
Mm-hmm.
does a great explanation with that. Coach, I had a relationship where the person did just that, use scripture to manipulate the relationship to do exactly what he wanted to do.
Mm.
And that's why we have to understand what the
Goodness
word
gracious.
says. That's the only thing that is truth. That
Yes, because
thing,
I had to read and study for myself. Yes.
absolutely.
I can
Man,
get somewhere on my own relationship and my own faith. He's given each man a measure of faith. I can't do it off of yours. I got to get in there for myself.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I did. Bodies.
You know, and you notice I just put it there and left it, right? You know what, Michelle Ray? I'm gonna put you in timeout. I'm gonna put you in timeout. Love is action. You telling me, okay, but you show me otherwise by your actions. There of by lying, a disrespecting the car. See.
Commitment.
Mm, we gonna talk about that. See, the people I talk to, they already know it. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? There are few people that I talk with that actually know this stuff already. And it says fruit versus fruits because it's one
Woo.
spirit, not multiple. Absolutely.
Multiple. Okay.
Absolutely. Let me see. Commitment. Let me see. Listen, look at this right here. See what I'm saying?
He said shoot
Showing
through
out. I'm about to put you in timeout. Anita said, like that was some good food right
Mm-hmm.
there.
I'm
Yeah,
telling. Look, I got my highlighter. I'm in here like y'all because this is not just what we want you all. I'm learning with you. It's some things that I've learned just by sitting, talking over the last, what is it, a year now?
I think it's been a year.
So this is good food. And it's he gonna tie it back to scripture. You know he ain't gonna let us
I'm
be out here
I'm
flapping.
I'm bounded by contract to do so.
Okay.
We explain that at a later date. Um, there's a contractual obligation that says I must do so. Um, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's keep moving real quick because we got more stuff to uncover. The framework. Now, for those of you who have studied Hebrews 11 and 1, and I know that people are already nodding their head. Yeah, I know Hebrews 11 and 1,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because Hebrews 11 and 1 is all about faith. And everybody understands what Hebrews 11 and 1 it says. Now faith is the substance
Is
of
the substance of things not seen. Or hope
hope
for, I'm
for.
sorry,
There you
hope
go.
for.
Hope
The
for.
evidence of things
There,
not seen.
there we go. Right? So it's the substance of things hoped for and then the evidence of things not seen. Now, did you turn that just now? I seen you flipping. Did you turn that?
Mhm.
I knew you did. Could you go to what does verse 4 say?
By faith, Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain.
No,
Is
I'm
that the
sorry.
one?
No,
Or
go up
three?
3. I'm sorry, 3.
Okay. By faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so
Wait,
that the things,
back up. Say that one more time. It was what?
by faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God.
Thank you. So the word provides the framework in which the thing is supposed to exist. I want to
Mm,
start there because if we don't understand what the word says, then it will escape you.
mm-hmm,
We can get it. I'm gonna say it that way. You can go to church and get the word from the Bible, but if you have no understanding of the word, soon as you walk out, the
you
enemy will
don't.
come and steal it. That's a scripture as well, by the way.
Yeah.
The
Some
enemy will
good ground, some stony ground.
bingo. It will be stolen. So the word frames the ideology within you because the Holy Spirit needs something to work with when he comes to you. If you don't study for yourself, like Cassandra just said, if you don't study for yourself, then you will not necessarily have the foundational information for him to bring it back to you because he's not going to make it up. He's not going to
Mm-hmm,
bring you some brand new stuff that you don't have any foundation for. That's the thing that we have to understand. So when it comes down to the word love, there has to be a framework. And that framework, my friends, is found on John in the book of John, John 15. Now, this is like I told you, it only comes from one location. And I'm gonna put it up here, but then we're gonna build to this point, right? So one
mm-hmm,
says, "I am the true vine." This is the Messiah speaking himself. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Now we need to understand what a husbandman actually does, right? I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away.
he'll
And
cut it
every
off.
branch, absolutely, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
Mm-hmm,
Now, ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. Let me say it again. As the branch cannot bear fruit of its, I need to say it again one more time because I think people need to get it. The branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. Who's the vine?
mm-hmm.
Who's the vine? The
That's
Messiah,
God. Yeah.
the Messiah, right? Christ himself. So you must abide in him because you can't get to the Father unless you go through him. This is why I say it's the word that sets the framework. I don't care about no candy. I don't care about no flowers. I don't care about no balloons. All of that is made up. It is a world ploy for you to spend your money. That was the
Mm-hmm.
sole purpose of it. That is a very nice Zales commercial that comes on TV. But let me tell you something. It don't take no $10,000 ring to make a decision.
No, it don't.
I'm just keeping it real. Now, I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do with their money. You do what you want to do. But I'm trying to tell you what the truth says because sinking your finances in all those things mean nothing when it comes down to what the word actually says because the word is truth. Everything else is a lie. You know, and then you can relate to this. You was an army,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was something they said about the army doctrine. You could add to, but you can't
But
take
you
away.
can't take away.
This is the
That's
doctrine
right.
you can't add to nor take away.
No, it
You got
is
to
what it
take it for
is.
its value.
There's no change in it.
That's just it. Man, that is just it.
Now he'll give you revelation of what it is, but there's no changing.
Absolutely. But it gets better. I'm sorry. I love it. It gets better. 5, going on to verse 5. I am the vine. Ye
Hmm.
are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing.
Mm. So
Go ahead.
ain't no loving on your own.
Now,
You
now, now,
can't love on your own.
you can't go gin it up.
No.
I don't care how good you cook. I'm just, I can't make it up.
Mm-mm.
You can, you can make the best buttermilk cornbread on the planet. That ain't love. That's just you can cook.
Mm-mm. Hmm.
So the way to a man heart is through his stomach. No,
No.
the way to him being full is through his stomach. That's the
And
truth.
knowing who to come to when he need a meal.
Yeah, I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. I Man, listen. Okay, we gonna keep rolling because
Hmm.
no pun intended, by the way. But yeah, we're gonna keep rolling, and we're gonna get down to it, and then we're gonna pause because I want questions. I want you guys to ask all the questions, every question you got. I want to dedicate at least 10 minutes before we get into final thoughts to questions because if we go further, we might leave a lot of you guys hanging before our next conversation. Because
Yeah.
Alita don't like to come back to a whole month and a half later. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um,
Well,
so
actually, it's only been a month.
it has been. It just seemed longer.
A
That's
little
all.
over because it was at the beginning.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
me.
That's all right. So, verse 7: If ye abide in me, and my words abide. Hold on, wait.
Hmm.
Let me say that part again. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. 8. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit.
Much.
He wants you to bear fruit. You're
Hmm.
just rejecting the information so that you can
Mm.
bear fruit. It gets better. So shall ye be my disciples. There's a price for the fruit.
Hmm.
You just can't expect fruit and then just say, hey, I got fruit. Check me out. I got fruit. Don't work that way. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. There's a price for the fruit.
Hmm.
You gotta be, listen, don't, you can't accept one without the other. It's just what it
Right.
is. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue where?
Abide in my love.
In my love. In my love. Go read Psalms 91. It'll make sense. All right, then 10. We're going to go with 10. If
Hmm.
ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love. Can I ask a trick
Mm.
question?
Sure.
This is I'm being transparent. This is a trick question. How can you keep his commandments? This is for
Obedience.
anybody in the chats. Anybody,
I
and
mean,
you
for
can.
me, I'm gonna say, oh, well, that's more than a one worder.
You sure it is.
But we can start with being obedient.
Mm-hmm. We can start with being obedient, absolutely.
Mm.
But we got to catch it because he told us in so many words. We just
Hmm.
glossed over it, and we keep reading. We do it all the time, right? If you keep my commandments, our carnal mind says obedience to the point of what we tend to call in the world of psychology sin management. So sin management is where I think so much about the sin I don't want to commit. What ends up happening is I actually commit it because as a man
Mm.
thinketh in his heart, so is he.
So is he.
Right. So Paul kind of told us, he said, whatever thing is, I can't remember, I messed it up. He said, whatever thing is true, whatever thing is of good virtue, think on those
Think on
things.
these things.
Right. So if you think
Hmm.
on those things, ideally, that is the thing that you would do. Therefore, you cannot focus. Therefore, you will not focus on sin. Therefore, you never have to manage it because you don't own it. That's the thing. You
Mm.
don't own it. So you don't manage it. Right. You think on him. But here's a better one. The Holy Spirit is the one.
Right.
It's not me, it's him. He said it. If you abide in my
And
love,
hmm
even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. That's it. So the love of God acts as that protector, that barrier, that helper by way of the Spirit, and the Spirit is the revelation of the Spirit is the fruit, and the fruit, the first stage, not the first stage, the highest virtue of the fruit is
Is
love.
love.
Therefore, if you abide in his love, the Spirit is present. If the Spirit is
Mm.
present, somebody just you just got it.
And if he ain't present, who is then?
A spirit, a spirit. That's it. Man, listen. Um, I'm getting worked up over here. I'm sorry. I'm getting, I'm getting a little worked up. We gonna pause right there, right? Because next is practicality, and now we're gonna get into the do's. And I don't want to start that right now because that's gonna take a little longer. However, what I want to do is I want people to ask because I know we covered a lot, right? I
Mm-hmm.
know we covered a lot. I want people to ask the questions that they actually have. But while they're typing their questions, if you don't have a question, go ahead and hit the like button. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I want to make sure I say that. We only this is where we get better collectively. That's what community is all about. We are supposed to be to the point to where we share, ask questions, so forth and so on. And so once we find a space where we can be completely honest and transparent, what you'll find is that the community overall will actually start sharing answers that they understand for themselves. Cassandra McKenzie, thank you so much for continuing to be a super supporter. Again, that's just what we do here. We appreciate one another, and I want to make sure I acknowledge every time one of you guys become a super supporter. So as they're asking their questions, Miss Onita V, I know I've been doing a lot of talking. I want to turn it over to you real quick. Is this your last words? Do you want to just make this your last final
Yeah.
thoughts? Okay.
I mean, we can.
Yeah, we can do that. As they're coming up with their question, because I can edit it and adjust it. So I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna give you the center stage so you can give your final thoughts. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
So, as my final thoughts, I want to leave you all with this. We did not have to perform for God's love, so stop performing for people's love. You need to know who you are and whose you are first. Know that if you abide in Him, He is going to abide in you. Give Him something to work with. Study love in the Bible. Study who He says He is. Study what He's done for you before you even ask. Knowing that love is not something you perform for, knowing that nobody else has to perform for you for love. So take a self assessment, look at what you've been doing. Hey, I have put conditions on these people, I have done this. We want agape love. We want to show that. And if you can't show it, don't expect it from anybody else. Get rid of what the world said love was and get into what God says love is. And that's what's going to take you through. Is not what the world says, because we're fickle. Not we, but the world is fickle. One day you like it, one day you don't. The Lord don't stop loving you today because you did something that He told you not to do. His love never changes. Let's start loving people and it doesn't change. It's not conditional love. We haven't conditioned it to be something that we want it to be based on what we want out of a person. We're not going to manipulate it. It's going to be what it is, regardless if they're with us today or not with us tomorrow. And I like to say, love people in your presence and out of your presence. Sit with it. Know that it doesn't have to be what somebody else told you, these fairy tales. This is happily ever after. This is what, no. Mm-mm. Let's get into what love really is, the real meaning behind it, and knowing where it came from. And we know that it came from the Father. And that's all I have.
Man, listen, I enjoy having these conversations. And one of the things I want to stress is I know I'm passionate about the things that we talk about, but it's all done from a place of love. It's not to um, it's not to expose anything but the truth. That's the part I'm really trying to get at saying. I am human just like everybody else. I make mistakes, I err. But the thing that I understand now is that I don't have to condemn myself because of such, right? I recognize that I was never created to be perfect. I was just created to learn. And in the midst of learning, my journey of learning is to learning to be more like him by hiding myself in him. I think that's important. Anita said a lot of great things just now. I don't necessarily want to rehash what she said or rehash anything that we talked about. My prayer is that the things that we say actually make sense. I want to be able to break the word down to such a degree that a 5-year-old can understand it. We're just not going to talk about everything under the sun with the 5-year-old, right? Um, but that's just it. I think community is where we get together and we talk about the word and share insight about the word so we can learn and grow from one another. That's what it should be like. That's how it should be. I can't express to you how much joy I get every time I hit play or hit record on this thing. The funny thing is, my board went out this morning, so my digital board went out. It just seemed like everything was working against me to have this conversation, but I was determined it was going to happen. So with that being said, man, I just want to say thank you to everybody who actually was in the chats and who participated in this conversation and added your insights and your value. I think I just seen, hey man, Alan, good to see you, brother. I can't begin to tell you how much this spoke to me and how much I needed to hear what you two spoke about today.
That's
That's why,
awesome. Yep.
that's why I do what I do. Just for
Hmm.
that one comment right there. And it happens, Anita, it happens. I can't explain it. Like my skin is
Yeah.
literally crawling right now. It
Yep.
happens every now and
Goosebumps.
then. So Alan, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. And Alan is an
It's all
awesome
about
guy.
the one. If
Yeah,
we focus on just the one
yeah,
instead of the masses, and that's what I like to do. I don't, when people say, what if, you don't get many views, or what if you, I said, if it's only one person that says thank you, then I
absolutely.
did my job. I did what I was
Absolutely.
called to do that day.
Absolutely. So if y'all see my eyes red, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm
Look,
good.
I'm
Let's
trying my best not to cry.
listen. I get touched every time that happens. So, Alan, thank you, brother. And I met Alan at the Cyber Center of Excellence a couple of years back, man. And Alan is an awesome guy, very intelligent and very awesome at what he does, man. And always had a very kind spirit. So, man, I greatly appreciate the time that Alan and I work together. And man, I don't think you realize how much those words actually touch me. So again, thank you so much for that. Let me see. I think we got some 5 of John 15. So Michelle pointing out that verse. Um, oh, you talking about I am the vine? I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. Absolutely. That's one of the favorite. Um, Ruddy said, love, a word that comes and goes, but few people really know. Kirk he out here quoting the prophet Kurt Franklin. Stop it, man. Stop it. If I don't recognize manipulated love, can I revert back to the fruits of the spirit to help recognize what is being said is outside of those fruits? Onita, I will let you take the first stab at this one.
So I'm gonna definitely say it was, oh my goodness, I think it was Galatians. Um, was it 5:19? Where
Uh,
we I think it was the first one
this one.
where we talked about witchcraft.
Yep.
So I would say that's how you recognize right there what's manipulated, because these are all the things that the fruit of the spirit are not. So to me, this is just me. I'm able to know immediately, oh, okay, we got all this going on. This is not love. This is not love. Because I know what that scripture says. This right here is my go-to first.
Yeah.
But I will say, go back and study fruit of the spirit, but also this one, know this, because when you know this, you will recognize it like that.
Yeah. I like that. And I agree with that 100%. Um, But I will also add to this, Michelle, if I can, because I think what Onita said was spot on. I think the more the word gets inside of you, you start to sense your environment based upon the word. Like I know Michelle, she is on Friday nights as well. And so one of the things I said last night is that this thing is a sensor. You're constantly sensing information from your environment. All you do is sense. And what happens is based upon what you sense, you have these feelings. That's why I tell people the feelings are indicators. It's not for you to throw at other people, they're indicators for you to act. So as you start putting more of the word of God into you, your sensors start sensing the environment based upon what you know the word of God to be. Therefore, I don't have to say a word to you. All I got to do is recognize the feeling that I'm getting. Once I recognize the feeling, I ask myself this question: what is this feeling based upon? Once I get the answer to that, I take that answer and compare it to the word just for verification. Once I get that, depending upon who you are to me, I can have a conversation with you or I can move out. Those are my two options at that point. If this is a fruitful relationship, then I have a requirement. The requirement, because I have a philosophy. So this is my last time being going off the rails today, right? I don't owe anybody nothing. I,
All
I,
right.
I just want to make sure I say that. I don't owe anything to any person. I owe it to him. You are just the recipient of what I owe to him. So as he gave me the word, my obligation is to him. As I fulfill what he said to do, you are the recipient of that behavior.
Mm,
Therefore, if you are acting according to the scripture, as Anita just pointed out, I don't have to come to you and say, "Hey, that's witchcraft." I don't have to do that.
mm,
At that point, I'm just kind of like boasting about what I know, unless this is a valued relationship. And now, when I say it, it's in response to my boundaries as opposed to it is in your behavior. So I'm never
mm,
to the point that I'm blaming the person. I'm to the point to where I am protecting the vessel. The vessel, as you know, is the temple of the spirit.
mm.
Great question, Michelle.
It
Thank you.
was.
That was a good question.
He
Let me
got us
see.
on our toes.
No, it's not. It's all.
That's
It's
good.
love, man. It's love,
Yeah.
right? This conversation today have me. Oh, thank you both for this. The notes to come from. Okay, I can't. Well, I don't really know what that means, but I can't. I can't really
She
say
basically
it.
saying, "Oh, this
Right,
is
right.
good." Like, okay.
Miss Jordan said, "By my spirit, you." There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the word to validate what I actually said. As you get it into you, it will start coming out of you and you will sense the spirit will start
Mm,
giving you revelation based upon it. So absolutely. And
mm.
I really want to get into the practicality of it. But man, we just don't have time.
We don't
Listen,
have time.
we don't have time. Listen,
This is
we knew it was going to be multiple weeks. The sad
yes,
part about it is that we don't meet every week. We only do it once a month. Um,
right.
but I know because you guys are, as they used to say back in the days, Bible toting, tongue talking, hand laying Christians, right? And we ain't gonna say that, but just saying, we know that you guys are going to study and you're going to come back armed with the word, and you're gonna kind of throw a lot of stuff at me and Onita the next time.
Hmm.
I just want to again thank each and every one of you. I hope that this conversation has been valuable. I thank everybody who's listened, who's actually participated in the chat, those who were just listening just to get more information. Again, I pray that, like I said before, by the only one who can teach his word, I pray that through our voices, he manifests himself to you. And I hope you got a lot out of this conversation. So, Miss Onita, until we meet again next week, everybody have a great and wonderful rest of your Saturday and an even better weekend going into next week. So until next month, have a blessed day.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't want